Welcome to Wise Minds, Wild Hearts, the podcast for heart-led high achievers just like you, ready to take inspired action and achieve true alignment. If you're craving deeper influence, greater impact, and a life that genuinely lights you up, you're in the right place. I'm Kip Clark, former academic turned entrepreneur, transformational coach, elite athlete, and shameless fountain pen addict. Here, you'll learn how to leverage the beautiful wisdom of your years with the wild passion that drives you forward. Together, we'll break through those limiting beliefs, unlock the power of your subconscious mind, and create a life that aligns with your soul's desire. Ready to create the kind of impact you've always dreamed of? Let's do this. Hey there, friend, and welcome back. I don't know about you, but to me, many days right now, the world kind of feels like it's in a free fall. I mean, politics, global economies, global relations, it all kind of feels very uncertain and very shifty. So if you've been feeling a little ungrounded, a little disrupted psychically, if it feels like someone shook your snow globe and now you're waiting for all the pieces of your life to settle back down again, you are not alone. But I just wanted to share with you some thoughts about uncertainty, because for a lot of us, and I include myself in this, there are times when uncertainty really feels awful, like it's the enemy somehow. But what if instead it might actually be a sort of passageway to opportunity? Now, certainly there's just an enormous collective uncertainty happening right now for the reasons that I mentioned already. There's a rapidly changing landscape for international trade, the economy. A lot of people have been struggling to find adequate housing, to pay grocery bills, to pay utility bills, and so on and so on. And there are a whole lot of other people that are thriving right now. So uncertain times don't necessarily mean that we have to suffer and that things will fall off. We humans crave certainty. We really do. So disruptions can make us feel untethered, but they don't have to. And there are definitely some things that we can do to help minimize the uncertainty so that we can get back to feeling like we're in control, like we're in charge, and we're creating things again. It feels awful when we're just in a reactive mode. So most people, or many people, think uncertainty is something to fear and to avoid. But the truth is that uncertainty can actually be a kind of birthplace for innovation and reinvention and growth. So research shows that uncertainty activates the same fear pathways as physical danger. So that would be if you came upon a grizzly bear in the middle of the wilderness. You might feel the same kind of physical reaction to that you're feeling with this right now, this kind of general uncertainty that seems to be everywhere. And what happens is that uncertainty can lead us to have tunnel vision, heightened levels of anxiety, and we can get really reactive when it comes to our decision making. But reactive decision making is rarely the best kind of decision making. So what we want is to get back to a sense of stability and groundedness. So there certainly is a science behind why we dislike uncertainty so much. So the brain has a kind of predictive coding system that is constantly trying to forecast what's going to happen next. And when it can't do that, it will default to worst case scenarios in order to keep us safe. Because if we can imagine the worst case scenario, then ideally we could start to prepare whatever we might need to do to either eliminate or at least minimize that. Unfortunately, what happens for a lot of us is we imagine the worst case scenario. We come to believe that is the only outcome that will happen. Our stress level rises, our anxiety rises, we get into a really negative mindset, our energetic vibration lowers, and it becomes a real downward spiral. So, a study out of Princeton it was about 20 years ago or so found that uncertainty actually creates more stress than when we know something bad is going to happen. So this might be, for example, if you were driving on an icy road, you lost control of your vehicle, you hit a telephone pole, and you've done damage to your car, you can predict that probably your insurance rate's going to go up. So this is something that you can count on. If you report the accident, your insurance will go up. It's something that you know, so then you can create some ways to deal with that. So you can maybe look to earn a little bit of money. You can shift your priorities so that you can pay the higher insurance on your vehicle and so on. We would always rather deal with certainty than, the certainty in pain than uncertainty in possibility. But if we can change that a little bit, we'll just be so much further ahead. And the thing is that for us high achievers, visionaries, entrepreneurs, and so on, really uncertainty is a kind of default setting when you think about it. But even so, there will be those in those categories of high achievers and visionaries and so on. Some will thrive with uncertainty, and others will just get really almost frozen and unable to make any kind of forward momentum. So I'm thinking about, for example, Netflix, which was a DVD rental originally, and then it pivoted to streaming when the industry changed, and that just sent Netflix's stock soaring. Airbnb was another company that was actually launched in 2008, right in the middle of the financial crisis when people were desperate for alternate sources of income. So uncertainty can actually breed some amazing new innovations if we're open to that. So one of the first things to consider is controlling the controllable and just letting go of everything else. So if let's say you're a surfer, for example, you can't control the ocean. You can't control the size or the power of those waves, but you can control your stance on the board, your balance, when you paddle, when you float. Trying to control the waves is futile, but controlling your response to them, that is how it happens. And that's how the great surfers in the world manage and do so well. So focus on the things that you can control. First is your mindset, your emotions. So stay out of reaction mode as much as possible. The more you can be in creative mode or feeling like you're in control, the better. Your daily habits. You may want to create some small rituals of stability. So these might include your morning routine, something called habit stacking, where you might be doing things like journaling just to calm yourself, or doing a little bit of yoga. I have a dog, so first thing every morning before anything else happens, I pull on, some sweats or something, and I'm out the door with my dog. So daily habits can help us feel a little more stability because it's something we can count on. And then take a look at your immediate environment, and that includes the people that you have around you. And I'll come back to that in a moment. And then letting go of the things you can't control. So that includes things like market fluctuations, global politics. I mean, there's a level of influence we can have if we live in a democracy. We can vote. We can speak to our democratic leaders to advocate for us. So there are some things you can do, but generally speaking, a lot of that is out of our control. And then practicing something called psychological flexibility, where we learn just to adapt to whatever is going on instead of always being in reaction to it. Strengthening your inner resilience. So this is a mindset shift here that might go from a thought such as uncertainty is dangerous to uncertainty is where my next level lies potentially. So that's a thought of real hope and motivation. So you can strengthen your resilience. Well, a simple way, I've talked about this lots already in other episodes, visualization. Taking a few moments each day, close your eyes, see yourself handling the uncertainty with grace and empowerment. So this helps to build a kind of neural familiarity, something going on in your brain that becomes normalized, and that will make the chaos much less threatening over time. It'll come to have very little, if any, impact on you. And then again, those daily anchors, having simple grounding practices. So my morning walk with my dog is amazing for me. A lot of people have a morning journaling practice or a meditation practice. So any of those kinds of small actions that are available to you, no matter where you are, and they will send a signal of safety to your nervous system. They'll help just lower the temperature that tends to arise with uncertainty. And then, as I said, reframing those obstacles. So instead of thinking, why is this happening to me? Be curious about, how is this happening for me? What's the lesson in this? What can I take from this that will help me and that will help me create bigger impact in the world? So through history, we can see that some of the most successful people have embraced a pivot at times of uncertainty rather than clinging to outdated strategies. And certainly people like Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy, who've written 10x is easier than 2x, they talk about uncertainty actually forcing simplification. It forces us to focus on, to just zero in on only those things that will truly move the needle for us. And then, of course, the question, how could this uncertainty be an advantage for me? How can I use this? Well, one thing that comes to mind immediately is if I'm feeling all this uncertainty, other people must be too. So how can I serve them? How can I support them to help them feel less uncertain? And if you're running a business, if you're a coach or an energy worker, a healer of any kind, an entrepreneur, that's what it's all about, is solving a problem for other people. If you're experiencing uncertainty, other people will be too. How can you help them with that? You'll be invaluable to them if you can answer that question. Now, some other tactical steps that you can take to stay focused and to feel empowered, just asking better questions. So instead of asking, what if everything falls apart here? What's the worst case scenario here? You could ask, what if this is actually clearing the way for something better? And what could that something better be? I just feel that curiosity is absolutely the best single tool we can have to get us out of reaction mode and into creation mode. So it's a shift from reactivity to intentionality, and that will, over time, rewire your brain. Taking those beautiful daily micro actions. You can set one micro action each day that helps create progress. No matter how small it is, it's going to help you because those small steps each day build over time and become big progress. And then surrounding yourself with the right people. So Jim Rohn, motivational speaker and author and so on, he was the one who coined the phrase that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And that's really, really important. So if you are hanging out with people that are gloom and doom, that are always focused on the negative, you're going to adapt that mindset as well. It's hard not to when that's what is around you all the time. Now, it is important to keep some critics around, but there's a difference between people that are just negative, the glass is half empty kind of people, and the constructively critical people. So those are the people that they're backing you, they're supporting you, they believe in you, and they're willing to say, hey, have you thought about this? Hey, what about this possibility? So that is the kind of constructive criticism that'll help keep you on your path. We can't, on our own, we can't necessarily consider all possibilities of something that we're contemplating. Having another set of eyes, another mind, another set of ideas can really help us land on the right solution or the right next best step for us. Now, when I'm saying consider the company you keep, the people who are around you, that's both in person and online. And for lots of people, online communities have actually become more important to them than their face-to-face relations. That's a very curious thing, but it's happening. So just pay attention to who you are interacting with, because the people you're exposed to in terms of their values and ideas, that's going to have an influence on you. So you get to be really intentional about who you're spending your time with. You also get to control the amount of time you're spending with people. So if you've got 1 or 2 people in your environment and they're not really positive people, or there's just something about them. They're not exactly the kind of people you want to have around you, but perhaps it's a family member. It might even be a spouse or a partner who doesn't see your vision necessarily and is really questioning what you're doing and making you question what you're doing. That's not necessarily what you want. So consider, how can you reduce the amount of time you're spending with people? Some relationships we just need to let go. We need to release, or at the very least, we need to just create a bit of space between ourselves and that person or those people. Now, there's this maxim that says you cannot surround yourself with negative people and expect to have a positive life. So your social environment will very much have an impact on you. So you get to be deliberate about that. And also consider how you can be one of the 5 positively influential people around someone else. How can you be a highly impactful, a positive influence on the lives of others? So you've got a role to play in that. If you're finding that you're sort of focused on all these negative people around you, shift your focus to, how can I be a better partner, friend, coworker, colleague, etc. to others, and just focus on that, and you'll find the other stuff tends to drop off a little bit. So uncertainty doesn't have to mean instability. It can mean possibility. So those who are able to adapt will come out ahead every time. So this is an opportunity for us to do the same thing. What's one thing you could do today to help you embrace the uncertainty instead of fearing it? I hope this has been helpful to you. If you're really feeling unmoored or challenged in your life, please reach out. You can reach out to me, reach out to someone else in your life. You don't have to go this alone. There are lots of people, lots of supports available to you, and I really encourage you to take advantage of them. We all do better when we connect with the right people at the right time and get back to living the kind of life that we were always meant to live. All right, my friends, that's it for this episode. If this has been helpful to you, let me know. I love to hear about all the positive changes you're making in your life. And if there's someone you know who might benefit from hearing this message, please share the love, my friend. See you next time on Wise Minds, Wild Hearts.